Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing the upgrades to the Silverado, and one of the best upgrades you can do to any vehicle that you plan on taking off-road is an aftermarket LED light bar. So this is the light bar in question. It is a knee-light 32-inch LED light bar, and it's designed to go in front of Jeeps or other off-road vehicles, and I think it's going to fit perfect right inside the Silverado. I don't think that there's any videos out there of someone installing this particular light in a Silverado of my vintage. So I'm going to show you guys, how I'm going to do it, and we're going to, test it at night and see how it looks compared to just the normal high beams. And so let's get started. One of the first things you're going to want to do is pop the hood. So to get this job done correctly, I've got an assortment of tools here that I'm going to be using. Got the impact gun, not necessarily required, but always helpful. And we've got the drill for drilling some holes or getting any screws loose. And my favorite trim removal tool, I'm going to be using it to remove the little push pins that hold in the top of the grill. Okay, so there's about 12 of these little push pins or plastic retainers that hold in the very top of the radiator support. So we're going to pop all these out, and then we should be able to lift it up. With all those retaining clips removed, we should be able to get this lifted up now. Okay, so at the top of the grill here, there's 4 screws that hold in the very top, and there are 8 more underneath the bottom. But just start slowly removing those. We're going to hop up under the truck once we get these 4 up top pulled off. So once you're under the truck here, we've got 4 10mm bolts, and they are all pretty easy to spot. You have one here, one here. You've got one located on this side over there, right behind that mount. And then identical on this side over here. It's located right up in there. Much easier to see once you're physically here up under the truck. And as far as the other 4 bolts, you have 2 on each side of the on the fenders here. You got one 7mm right here and another one right up there just above it. Alright, now that we have all the bolts and things out, we're at the point where we need to start pulling. So, as with many other bumpers, you want to start with the edge and work your way inward and slowly applying pressure outwardly. Alright, so the bottom half of mine separated, but that's okay. So we're just going to set it to the side, and we're going to finish pulling out the rest of the grill. This part's easy. Just lift it right out. And there we have it, folks. It's a little bit heavier than I thought it would be. So right here you can get a better idea of where the 4 bolt holes are located, looking at them from the top. Pretty simple. So now we're going to test fit the light bar. Let's toss this in here. We're going to get this thing centered up really nicely. That looks like it's going to look perfect. It's pointed pretty much straight out here. I may turn it up just a little bit, but I don't want it to point right into another oncoming person's view. I'm not going to run this when I'm going down the road. This is mostly made for off-road purposes, of course. So, but I would like it to be spaced up a little bit. So I've got my punch here, and I'm just trying to line this bad boy up perfectly, get it totally centered, maybe just a touch that way. That was easy. All right, we're gonna step it up in size. Now, keep in mind, this core support here is just made of plastic, but it's very, very sturdy. Just as a reference for you guys, I'm going to be running these, aftermarket bolts. They did not come with the knee light bar. They are M8 by 1.25 by 40 millimeter. And I've got some washers here to help space the light bar up a bit to position it perfectly inside the grill. And we're going to be doing some test fitting here and there. But I got a little bit longer of a screw, obviously, so that way I can space it up if I need to. It's almost perfect. It's just not quite at the right height to look good. So that's, just keep that in mind. Just get yourself some spacers or washers or whatever, pretty thick washers, and a little bit longer bolts, and yeah. All right, we're stepping it up to a 5/16 drill bit. Now we're going to just test and see real quick if the bolts go through this hole. And they do go through. They're just a little bit tight, so I'm gonna go one step further, I think, just one up from a 5/16, because I want them to just kind of fall right into the holes there. Jumping up to the really nice bits here. All right, so this is gonna be my final drill bit. This is a 3/8, and this should work beautifully. All right, now we're gonna take our bolt here and make sure it goes through fine. Yep, that's perfect, love it. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna trim off this little plastic guard right here just a little bit. It's just kinda in the way. And we're just going to take our razor blade here and just kind of remove it from the scenario. There we go. So now the fitment is going to be much more flush here. And here's something extremely convenient. So Chevy has these holes right here in the plastic core support, where it seems like this thing was meant to have a light bar in it, because they have these holes at both ends where you can clearly see the bolts are coming straight through there. So we'll be able to get a nut on the end of that very easily. So now I'm going to work on getting the right spacing to get it up a little bit higher, and then we're going to do the final assembly and torque down everything as far as the bar itself is concerned. And the bar does come with these little rubber spacers here. And it doesn't really matter which way they go, but they fit on there just like so. So that helps space it up a little bit. So we probably won't need all 8 of those washers, maybe just 2 or 3 on each side. Color me wrong. I think I am going to utilize all 4 spacers on each side, so 8 in total. So I'm going to go ahead and get these bolts pushed in and see where we're at as far as alignment is concerned. The bar is touching these metal supports here just a little bit, but I think once everything is cinched down, it'll be just fine. So the size of those Allen heads, they are a size 6, and the nuts that go on the bottom are a 12 millimeter. And we have it started. I'm going to start running this down. I'm going to hold it with my 12 millimeter here. One side down, one more to go. It's literally flexing that, so I'm happy with that. I think before we fully move on to the wiring, I'm going to throw the grill on loosely, just so we can see what it looks like. Grill goes on, 0 issues as far as that is concerned. So, and you literally, I mean, you guys can see it in the camera there, I see, but that is exactly what I wanted, and that spacing seemed to be just perfect. So the 4 washers I put in there, they're about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit, just a hair over 1/4 of an inch thick. So if you got a piece of round bar and cut it at you know, a 1/4 inch or maybe a little bit taller than that, and then just drilled a hole through it, and it's a more, I think that'd be a much more solid plan, and just make everything just a little bit cleaner looking. But you're not going to see it either way, and thankfully it's pretty easy to just damn near eyeball it, because we have equal spacing on each side, and it's not coming into contact with these anymore now that these bolts have been cinched down. So I'm very pleased with that. So let me know what you guys think. But now we're going to move on to the funnest part. Depending on who you are, this may be the least fun part. So the next phase in this process is what I would consider the fun part for me anyway. It can be a little daunting if you've never done something like this before, but I promise you, if you have something like this, it's very, very easy. So I've already opened the box, but this is also a knee light kit, and link in description for both the light and this wiring harness. They are both branded by Knee Light, and this just takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. I mean, you could easily, and I mean easily, just take your power and ground that are attached to the light and run the ground to anywhere that's metal on the chassis to get your ground, and then just run a switched power wire to this from the inside of the wiring harness and somewhere in the engine bay. If you want this thing to just come on with the key, then that's I mean, just to make it work, if you had to, like in the field or something like that, that'd be the easiest thing that you can do. Or, you know, if you wanted to run an inline switch, all you have to do is, like I said, put the power here, put the ground to the body or to the battery, whatever, and then run the power into the cab. Just, you know, connect you a power line, go into the cab, wire in a switch, and then wire the power from the switch to somewhere in the vehicle or to the battery itself. Once again, you got 2 wires, simple little on-off switch, nothing crazy. With this, it does have an inline fuse, which I think is extremely helpful, but you can also buy one of these just inline fuse kits and just run it inline, and you want that as close to the positive part of your battery as possible, or wherever you're connecting it to get your power. This also has a little relay, which is extremely nice and helps protect things. You also have your button, and it has a signal wire and a 12-volt wire that you can also run if you wanted this to control something else. So you can obviously unplug this, and you can, or cut these wires and run a different switch if you want to. I just ordered the switch that says LED light bar on it. It's something, you know, it's a little simple thing, and it's one of these that will slot right into a square opening or rectangular opening. I think my RSX actually would have a perfect spot for this, and it would work really, really well. And then, as far as your power is concerned, it's actually got 2 little power outlets, which is really handy. It's really easy to split off, but it's really, really handy. So you have your main power wire here, and it's got these 2 power and ground, and then it also has this one. So if you're running multiple light bars or multiple things like the extra fog lights or whatever, you know, you got everything you need right here to control everything with one switch, which is really awesome. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and unplug the actual switch for the button here to eliminate that from the wiring harness. We're going to get this inside the truck, obviously, but from there we have our basic setup. So we're going to I'm probably going to be customizing this a little bit for my own personal needs, but basically first thing we're going to do is we're going to run the power wire here down through the grill and run it out maybe over here towards like the fuse panel, and get it close to the driver's side of the truck, and we're going to get this down to where we can hook it up to the light bar itself. So I've got the wires coming out right here. I've got the bulk of the wires just over here where the extra battery would go if this was a diesel truck. So there's plenty of options to run everything. So I'm just going to snake it down here near the fog lights where there's already wiring for, you know, being able to zip tie it if I need to. Alright, so I have got the wires right here, red to red, black to black, so that's your power and ground. Alright, so I just want to show you guys what I got going on here. I actually took a second and rerouted the wires in a better position so you guys can see the positive and negative connections right there. A little exposed, but once the grill's on you'll never be able to see it. But I ran it behind this plastic trim. You guys may be able to see it off in there. And then it comes up right over here, and I've got everything kind of hooked into this factory little grommet right here, so I don't have a whole lot of zip ties going on just yet. got my zip ties and electrical tape going on. So next step I took was I cut the little ring terminal off this guy right here, and I've got my butt connector here. So I'm gonna butt connect this ring terminal up, and some people hate butt connectors. I love them, I think they're great. And then I've got this long strand of red wire that I've had. I actually bought this at Radio Shack, if any of you people are old enough to remember that place. Hopefully you would be. So now I have effectively extended the power wire, pull test, it's solid. Now I'm going to connect this to the battery. I'm going to run this along the back of the firewall through some factory grommets and get it back over to the fuse block. I've got all the wiring over on this side of the truck, and I don't have to manipulate anything. I can just attach this power wire. So this is that custom part that I was telling you guys that we were going to be taking care of. You don't have to do this, but this is how I'm doing it. So I'm going to be adding a few washers to this. This ring terminal is exceptionally huge. I don't know why they put such a big one on there, but I'm going to stack a few washers up to where this thing has a good solid connection and it's not trying to slip off the wire. But that's what I'm looking at here. So I just kind of wanted to make it a little bit better for that tiny nut. More than enough, but just enough. All right, I think that'll do for now. I would like to throw 1 or 2 more zip ties on there, but it's not going anywhere, and I would like to hide the wire a little bit better. But just for a road test, this is gonna work fine. Beautiful little spot down here by the battery tray. I think I'm going to connect the ground here as well. Okay, so now that I have the power ran and the ground settled, supposedly, I'm going to touch my ground point and my power point, and hopefully I get 12 volts. And I'm getting 12.84 volts right where I set up at. And we should be able to test everything here momentarily. So theoretically, with the button installed, this light should flip on. And I had the button clicked, so yep, that worked. Hope that's coming through for you guys. I really like that. So the light bar is only illuminated whenever it says like that, like light bar, it's depressed there. When you click the light bar, it actually illuminates, and it's got a little blue LED back behind there. I really like that. That's working fine. And so now we're going to be running this into the cabin. But pretty much that's the basic install done. So let me show you guys real quick how everything went as far as I'm concerned. I kind of like the placement of everything. Like I said, I did, like I showed you guys, I did extend the power wire, but I just put the relay and the ground back behind here where the battery tray is, and I just pulled out that factory bolt and ran it down, and it's really nice and tight and secure. So now I'm going to just bundle up all that wire, zip tie it, and tuck it in somewhere safe right over here, probably right near the fender. We're going to run the power switch here into the cab of the truck. I see where a lot of people run them and just kind of, they'll put them like down here somewhere, or even they may run them up here if you want to. I've got plans for this spot in the future, so not gonna do that. May end up trying to run it right over here, like in this little cubby hole or something like that. But you can, I'll leave that up to your guys' discretion. But in order to get through the firewall, we're going to dive up under here, and there should be a grommet straight up there that I'm going to be cutting through, and I'm going to get everything, I'm going to get the lines pulled through, and we're going to get that button installed inside here. Alright, catching you guys up to speed on what I've done. I couldn't find a good way to get into the cab other than just drilling a hole in the firewall, so that's what I did. I went in right here, close to where that chassis ground is, next to the steering rack, and you know, I got good, you know, I got a decent hole in there, and I didn't want to drill it too big of a hole because I want to fill it back in with a grommet or some epoxy or, you know, RTV or something. So what I did was I depinned the plug here, and it's super easy to depin it. You just need a small flathead screwdriver. You stick it in, the pins will come straight out. So now I'm just going to be running the pins in through the hole that I've made, and we're going to bring the button inside of the cab of the truck. Alright you guys, so wiring is not as pretty as it's going to be, I promise you. It's just got it kind of quick and dirty in there. I do want to move this wire, so I am going to cut this and extend these wires, and I'm going to pull some more through the firewall. But it's through the firewall and it's not coming into contact with anything hot, so I'm not super worried about it. So now we'll go into the truck, and like I said, not entirely sure where I'm wanting to mount it, but for now I've just got the switch sitting inside this little cubby hole right here. It comes on, lights up blue, and we get our first look with the light bar on inside the grill, and I gotta say I really dig that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, hope it helped you out. $50 for this whole kit on eBay. The light is $40. The wiring harness is about $10. I'll link everything in the description down below. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next one. Take care and have a great night. Whoa, filming on the big camera. Yeah, so a couple years ago, I actually had to warranty, RMA, return the DSLR to Canon. Well, today we're doing that with baby. Come here. You want to be part of the video? Come on. Ooh, there we go. Yeah, is that better? You want to say hi to the people of YouTube? Okay, she's not going to do that to you guys. We are shipping out the Hero 8. Yep, I ran into some issues with it when we were at the Dragon. The front LCD screen just went blank, quit working. Tried, you know, firmware updates, things like that. It was totally up to date. I've only ever used GoPro batteries in it. No idea why it quit working, no clue. It did work for about almost 2 years I've had this thing. Hero 9 is out and all that good stuff. Hero 10 should be out here in a few months. It's out of its warranty period, but I am a GoPro member or subscriber or whatever, and so I get a replacement camera for a much lower cost than a new one would be. So I'm going ahead and finishing it up, and I'm gonna go, I'll box it up and I'm gonna ship it out, and they're gonna send me a new one. So, you know, I'm probably gonna get the Hero 10 because, you know, it's you know, the 10th one, and you know, having a spare camera on deck would be good in times like this. But I'll have a brand new, that's right, but I'll have a brand new Hero 8, so no worries there. But I just wanted to put this on the record for you guys. You know, if videos are a little bit sparse, or if I film more with this big guy, then you know, that's why. But I'll update you guys once we get the new one in, and we'll check it out.